course, a lot of what we're going to say is already written down somewhere, so feel free to ask questions as we go. Otherwise, we will periodically stop. But if you have a question, maybe look into more past notes first, because it might be something I've already missed. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Julia.
Hi. Okay, so if you got a packet, it looks like we're out. We're pretty much just going to walk through this with you. So if you didn't get a packet, we did send it out to you in the email on Monday. So pull it up here. All right. So the first part is, what can you do right now before the petition starts? This is a question we get a lot. Personally, I don't think you should do anything. Just take your finals, take a day off if you have time, take a nap. But if you really want to do something, there are a couple of things on this page that can help you. Some people read and tabbed their Blue Book. I use the online Blue Book, so I didn't do that. But I know Mary tabbed hers for sure. I didn't. Kristen didn't either. But some people found that really helpful. It also helps you get comfortable with what's in the Blue Book itself, so you know where to go for cases, where to go for statutes, that sort of thing. I know some people read like 20 minutes a night, or like when they were on their commute, or the day after finals. I don't know how, but if you're that type of learner, by all means, go for it. Another thing that we suggest is doing practice Blue Book exercises. We did have a Blue Book breakout session last week, or Monday or the week before, for you to come to. We also have another one on Friday morning where we're going through, I think there's at least 6. So a different source setting, Julia? 20. And there are different source types. So we'll focus on like tricks on each of those rules. And if you can come, I know there is. Yes. So come. There's no international law studies.
It's at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
in room 20.
There will be videos. There will be something. Maybe. But I don't know what it is. You can write your personal statements. I actually did do this. So you will have to write personal statements to be considered for certain positions on journals. And from stories from my friends, those were not fun to write right before you turned everything in. They probably weren't best quality. So if you do have a couple hours to procrastinate your finals, or if you want to take a day off and write them in between finals and petitioning, I would definitely encourage you to do so. You could read the instructions from last year. That will give you an idea of what the instructions will look like this year. They will change a little bit. Do not rely on those instructions. In bold, I think, or no, it's just in capital letters, but don't look at those during your position, but you can look at them before if you really want to. You could read sample case comments if you're really uncomfortable with case comment structure or what a case comment even is. I would encourage you to read the samples that are online, and Mary will go through what exactly that means in a little bit, but you could read through those. And then the last one says set up a document, and we're going to do that today if you're able to stay for the second hour. So that will be something you can check off your list of things to do. So that's that. Number 7 on page 4 is actually really important. I know absolutely nothing about computers, and the law text hours change during finals, and they change even, like they get even slimmer for the petition period. Like there are days where they're not even due. So if you have time, maybe stop by there and just be like, is everything fine? Am I going to run into problems? And they'll give you a heads up. I didn't use Adobe. Did you guys use Adobe? No, I didn't use Adobe, so I don't really know what that's for. But get your erasable pens. Make sure those are all ready to go. I got mine at Target, and I hear they have them at the bookstore.
You can order them on Amazon in bulk and have them
Yeah, so we have time for that to come in. So if you're thinking about doing that, maybe do that like tomorrow.
only buy blue or red pens, no black pens.
Or any other color.
Blue or red, or it will not get red. It'll be like invisible ink. Doesn't make sense.
But yeah. Clear your schedule for 2 weeks. Move your dentist appointments. Call your parents beforehand. No, you'll have time to call your parents. But just make sure you don't have any like
unexpected obligations come up during those times. And then number 9, just really find someone that you can talk to about like life things. You can't talk to each other. So we've relied on each other throughout this whole year and whatever, but you can't talk to each other about this. You can't talk to each other about like how stressed you are, how tired you are, how excited you are, I don't know. But you can't talk to each other. You can't G-chat, no. So just don't do it. Find someone outside of your law school friends to find some support from. But don't, because it's like such an honor code violation and there's like no leniency. So just don't do it.
And you'd be surprised how quickly we hear things about 1Ls, 2Ls, everything gets around, so just take that personally.
And it's not like, it would seem to do 2 weeks worth of work and then someone's like, oh, we found out that they were G-chatting to someone else about a source and then we get the proof. So just don't.
Do you guys have any questions about what you can do before petitioning starts?
I will add, if you have your blue book in front of you, if you turn to like the 3rd or 4th page, you'll see something that says Blue Book Online Free Trial. I did not use this because I take great comfort in touching my tabs for comfort, but Julia did. And it's a free, I think it's 30-day trial. If you don't get it now, but when we get closer, it essentially allows you to search the Blue Book online. So if you have a blue book, you get 30 days to do that. Voila.
Or you can just pay for it, like I did, and it's still a great tool. But, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about what's in the packet because we've gotten a lot of questions about what the packet actually contains. So it's going to be between 300 and 400 pages long, and that includes everything. So you'll come to the MLR office, you'll get a packet with a number on it.
It's like 300 and 500 pages.
Oh, well, it's a large packet. You'll come to the MLR office and a staffer will hand you, it'll be in a manila envelope, and you pull it out and this is all stuff that will be in it. So you're going to have instructions of all kinds for everything. So for the case comment, instructions for the blue book, instructions for personal statements. Please read all of the instructions. They're there for a reason. Part of this process is if you can follow directions and read instructions. So it's 50 points. Doing what the instructions tell you to do. Read them all. There'll be a blue booking exercise, which I'm not sure how many pages, between 7 and 8 pages on 20-something problems, and then source material for you to write your case comment. Tips on working with sources. So you'll get a link to an electronic version, and then you'll also have all the paper sources. So what I did was I took all the paper sources and earmarked like when a separate source started, because I'm like a tactile learner, and literally took over my apartment and just like put all the sources on the floor and like wrote all over them. That's how I organize my sources. Some people just did all online. So it's like really however you want to organize the sources in your mind. Like put the cases together, put all the law review articles together, put all other sources that are other types of sources together. However you want to organize them somehow though, so you can keep track of what sources you're using and which ones you've read and what they say. Because they're all going to say a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I actually made a really intense chart with like, I highlighted it like I would for class, and then I would take like quotes that I could use in my petition and made like a column for that. I also made sure that my like citation was there so that when I sat down to actually write it, I could just like copy paste from that document. But that's really type it.
There will be a fair amount of cases. Don't feel that you have to like do the traditional case brief. Like it will be overwhelming if you do that. If you were Julia and that helps you think better, go for it. But you do not have to do that to be successful on the petition.
So
it's also time consuming.
In this packet, it's just one example of what one editor did. She color-coded stuff and had different tabs for different things, and then wrote down arguments she would make. That's an option. It's just do whatever works for you, whatever thing you think is going to keep you organized in terms of knowing which sources you have and what they say. Pages of interest in the packet. So our contact information is in there for when something goes wrong or you have a question. It's mnpetitionquestions@gmail.com. It's also on the website. The grading rubric will also be included in your packet. Look at the rubric, because it tells you exactly what the graders are looking for. So if you want a really good score on your case comment, look at the rubric and see what they're grading on. If you don't read the rubric, you might miss some stuff and miss easy points. Formatting and case comment instructions. These are, in my opinion, the most important piece of the packet because it's so easy to just follow the instructions. Like, we're all competent individuals, we're all law students, we should be able to read instructions and follow them, but you'd be surprised how many people do not follow the instructions. So read them, tab them, highlight them, reference them a million times, read the instructions. Make sure you follow them to the T. Scroll down. Okay. I'm going to go over point reductions listed by graders from last year, just so you guys are getting to the case. So top 3. A case comment writer cited a source that is not in the packet. We cannot stress enough, do not go outside of the source materials we have compiled for you. We've done a lot of research on this topic. We know what source material is in this packet, and we will know if you cited something that is not in this packet, and so will the graders. So don't do it. No petition number in the header. This is a really easy point. Alan and Christina, if you guys want to wave, they'll help you with this later in terms of setting up your document. Times New Roman, 12-point font, right hand of the document. It'll be in the directions. They'll help you set it up later on your little template, but easy points. No page numbers. Have page numbers in the center of each page.
In Times New Roman font. I know for mine, the default is something not.
Calibri. Yeah, whatever.
Calibri is default. So make sure it's Times New Roman.
Other things that I think Mary's going to get to when she goes through case comment in more detail. The title didn't contain the main case name. We'll literally tell you in the directions, this is the case that you should be writing your comment on. It'll be bolded. Use the case name in your title. Don't have more than 10 pages of endnotes. Don't run in your text over 10 pages. Don't single space your endnotes. I think you guys can all read these. I'm not going to go through all of them, but these are really easy things. I used this packet. I think we got this, something similar to this last year, and checked off just to make sure that I didn't screw up any of these really simple things. Because
not only with these things do you not get the points if you don't do them, but you lose points.
And some journals might take off more points than others for doing some of these things. So just be really conscientious about checking all your boxes. Do you guys have any questions about the packet, what's in it? Everyone's looking at me like blank eyes. Okay, if you want to go, Mary will go through a case comment in more detail. I'm sure most of you guys haven't seen one. If you want to find other examples of the case comments, go to the website because there's 2 on there.
Okay, for the fun part. So, the blue book portion is worth what % of your petition? 30. So what is the most important part of your petition probably? But does that exclude blue booking? No. Oh, you guys are so smart. Okay, so the case comment you can think of as 2 things. It's an exercise in can you think like a lawyer, and it's an exercise in can you blue book. So if you're banking on just the case comment and getting you through that blue book part, think again. You still need to have impeccable blue booking, and often the difference between whether or not you got onto the journal of your choice. So I'm going to go through the case comment portion, but you keep in the back of your mind blue booking is still important. Okay, so last year, the case we were given was Frank v. Walker, which was about voter ID laws. So that was our main case. The main case is always the first source in your packet. So, it'll be numbered at the bottom in the right-hand corner in a very different font, so you know it's not the source's number, it's the petition number. And that's the one you should start with. And then every other source is somehow related or not related to that. And your job is to use only those sources to create the case comment. So this is an example of a successful case comment. All of these materials you keep seeing are available on the Minnesota Law Review membership tab. If you have not been on there yet, I highly recommend you do. It's the kind of information hub for all 5 student-edited journals. It has 4 case comments from last year. It has every handout you've ever been given, excluding the Wilsa one, which is coming up on Friday. We're not putting that up. That's your incentive to go. So here it is. All the great things. So if you're like, oh, what a great resource. Many of my questions would have been answered. So there you are. So the case comment is at the very bottom, along with sample instructions. They will change for this year. But if we click the case comment, we can see that when you write it, it is very formulaic. We are going to teach you today exactly what you should be putting down. And you're going to be kind of relieved to realize some of it's pretty easy. So the first thing, if you're a legal writing student, what do you want? An introduction. So you're going to very briefly in kind of the first paragraph, kind of summarize the case. You're going to acquaint the reader with what's going on. And then in the second paragraph, you're going to get to the issues. So you're going to say, here are all the things that this case talks about, and why does anyone care? We didn't give you a case that's like ground reward of education. Very few people nowadays are going to say, wow, that was a really bad holding. This is a case that's got some meat to it, so there are a lot of issues. The third paragraph is where you start by saying, this comment argues, or this comment believes. You are going to make a statement and you're going to tell the reader what your comment is about. So for this person said, this comment argues that this circuit came to the right decision, but misinterpreted a law. So there are a lot of different ways. You could agree with it, you could disagree with it, you could say they got it right, but they got to that decision the wrong way, or they got it really wrong, and this is what they should do instead. So introduction has 3 parts. Does everyone kind of understand? Introduce the case, explain some of the issues, and then tell the reader what this comment is about. Cool. So when that part is done, and you'll notice, there we go. You'll notice this is kind of new. In legal writing, often we say show, don't tell. That kind of gets inverted for the note comment process. You need to tell. So it's okay to say part 3 will do this. Part 2 will do this. It's called road mapping. So if you sound like you're like this is 5th grade and you're being very like almost like you're handing the reader what you're going to say, point 1 is X, point 2 is Z, that's okay. That means you're doing a good job outlining what you're going to tell us. The best thing to do, I think, is to read all of these examples and you can feel a little better about being so blatant. So after you do the introduction, and there is a little in the packet, if you have that up, I just don't think this is helpful as actually looking at one. You do background. So if you were a history major like I was like, oh, thank God, a background section. Everything that you're going to talk about in your paper, whether it's in the analysis or the solution, which we'll get to, needs to appear in the background. And you'll notice, I wish I had it bigger. I don't know. You'll notice that there is a big heading, which is in the middle, and then there are subheadings. So hopefully your legal writing has been taught you how to use a good subheading. So you'll see here they're bolded, everything is consistently the same font and spacing. And this should be no more than half of your paper. If the introduction and background are more than half of your paper, that means your analysis and your solution are going to be pretty skimpy, and that tells the grader that you don't really understand the issues. You don't have to believe what you're writing, but you need to at least show them that you've learned something. So after the background, we get to kind of the heart of the paper. This person decided to make another heading. That's fine, but I would suggest you would close it within your background, so you would end with, okay, and here's the case. Sorry, she's scrolling. So after okay, cool. So I stand corrected. This should be its own separate heading. I don't think that's how I did mine, which is why I'm confused. See, did I follow the instructions? No. Bad job.
It's page 12 of your packet too, because I was following along. Although it's a different case comment.
Yeah, this is a different one. So you do a case description where you just kind of go through and explain what the case is about. And then, here we go, third part, analysis. So this is where you're going to actually
take a stand on something. And this is what I want you to take away from this. You need to say something. It doesn't matter if you believe it. It doesn't even matter if you think you have a lot of good support for it. But if you come across as just like, well, this is kind of a good decision, but you don't actually say anything, you're going to lose a lot of easy points. So that is the one big thing. So again, analysis, you want to, in the kind of introduction, before you get to these subheadings, you want to lay it out just like you did, and then just lay out whatever it is. So here this person saying the case ignored these differences between two statutes. So they're saying something. The analysis is the third part, and then the fourth part.
Your analysis should be the largest part of your
Acting science is our conclusion. So a lot of people forget to do conclusions. They're really important, and it's not just, as you can see, this person did a nice, thick conclusion. It's not just a quick paragraph. It's something where you reassert what you've already said, and then you redefend what you said. Sometimes in these conclusions, people will then put maybe like a brief, what are the next steps, what could the court do now, but really any substantial analysis needs to be above in the previous section. Okay. Last thing I'll say, you'll notice just like in the introduction, it has several parts. That's because it's thorough. It's restating the issues and then it's restating your analysis and defending it. Okay, and this was 10 pages. But that's not all. Because below are the end notes. So does everyone know what an end note is? I know some people are like, I've never written a paper like this in my life. That's okay, you'll be fine. An end note is essentially a footnote, but it comes at the end. So instead of it being on the same page it was cited to, it's going to be all at the end. That means that the graders are going to spend a good amount of time making sure that these are Blue Book appropriate. They're also going to notice if you cite something that wasn't in the petition. So if I have a petition source that's a case, and the case is quoting another case that isn't in the petition, and you only cite to what's being quoted, and you don't say, Frank V. Walker quoting Julia v. Kristen, and you just say Julia v. Kristen, that would be a deduction and potential disqualification, because it wasn't in the petition. So that's one thing I want you to remember with end notes. And does anyone remember how many pages of end notes there are? 10, which means that you have quite a lot of room. So we would encourage you to use as many sources as possible. If you get a source and you're like, this has nothing to do with my argument, that's fine. You could throw a footnote in that says, see generally this source which talks, or like if you want more information on why voter ID laws are silly, see this source. Didn't have anything to do with my analysis, I'm just throwing it in to get another point.
I will throw in a caveat. Do not use these examples as examples of perfectly Blue Book case comments. Because this is someone like us last year who was petitioning to get on a journal, and we looked back at our case comments,
so bad.
and there were several mistakes. So,
I wouldn't say like so bad.
I
Julia's was beautiful.
but like, don't use it as examples of perfectly Blue Book stuff, because they might have messed up something, and then you'd be copying them and making a mistake that you could have easily avoided by just doing it on your own. So I wouldn't use these as a reference, but not as a template for yourself.
Exactly. Everything should go back to the Blue Book. Also, if you didn't know, the Blue Book got changed between your year and our year. So the Blue Booking on here is definitely going to be wrong in certain areas because we have the 19th edition, not the 20th. That said, all the materials we've given you, we have tried our best to update them to make sure it's all correct, but there might be slight errors. So that's why it'll say in the instructions, you need to use the Blue Book, not the training materials. Because if it comes down to, you say, hey, why did I get onto this journal? And you say, but I used the training materials, we're going to say, yeah, we told you to use the Blue Book though. Any questions about the case comments? It's kind of overwhelming. The best thing to do is just like put it out of mind when you get your sources, dive in. Yes?
Just to clarify, the part that you said should be no more than half of your case comment, was that the intro, background,
Intro,
or
background.
also the case description
Case
too?
description, yeah.
Yeah.
Those three parts. Okay.
So analysis should be at least half, if not more. The more analysis, the more points you'll probably get.
Two, this format will also be in the directions of your petition. So if you forget and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what they said, or I have no idea what's going on right now because I'm not here mentally. This format of like, you know, intro, case comment description, all that stuff, that'll be in your instructions too. But you also have this.
You can use this.
I think this was probably the most helpful thing.
Yeah, I
we
used
got.
this.
Christina and Alan are shaking their heads. Okay, if there aren't any other questions about the case comment, I'm gonna turn it over to Kristen and Julia. Get easy points.
Can you pull up the packet?
Okay, so if everyone wants to turn to page 14 of this lovely packet, or if you're following along online. Okay, yeah, well, this has been very helpful in doing it sideways, but at least you can see it. On the left side of this page is a low scoring petition, and on the right side is a high scoring petition. We're not going to go through this with you right now in terms of like, can you spot all the errors? But this is something to look at in just in terms of like a frame of reference. So what's really good and what's not so good. I think we all know how to write in this room. We wouldn't be here if we didn't, but the main thing is structure and following the rules. So on the left, they clearly didn't structure their case comment very well, and they didn't follow the rules. So, simple, yeah, it's as simple as that. On page 15, they say, this background section on the left lacks internal structure. This is something that a grader actually wrote. So this is something in case someone's reading your stuff, they might actually write this. It mentions random case names, but it doesn't explain what court decided them. There's obscure references. One thing that I will note, it says it also note the lack of adequate footnotes. You should do an endnote, drop an endnote, like pretty much every sentence. I would err on the side of more endnotes than less endnotes. It's just a way to get more sources in there too.
But keep in mind, your endnotes can't go over 10 pages. It has to also be strategic.
Especially in terms of like, this is where the organization comes in and your formatting. But I would have an endnote pretty much every sentence. Yeah, what little blue booking appears here is applied incorrectly. Basically open up your blue book and use it. Do you guys have any questions about these like side-by-side examples or anything like that? We just want to give you guys a frame of reference for what that example looks like and what the good example looks like.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, generally, if you get this feedback?
No. Once you turn it in,
You'll never know what your score is.
Yeah.
You'll never know where you ranked, whether you were like first choice for your journal or towards the middle, and that's a good thing. Because just like LSAT scores, it doesn't matter once you get in. Look at you, one else. You are.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, where is the Minnesota Law Review Office?
Where is the office? Okay, so if I'm in the library, I go up to the second floor, and you know, when I'm like going up the stairs in the second floor, on the right side there's a door, and on the left side there's all those tables where like couches where people are always sleeping and stuff. Go in through that door, so those double doors, and then so I'm walking in, and on the right side there's like a little nook, reading nook with a chair that there's always like somebody sleeping there too.
It's usually one of us.
If you look to the left, there's going to be a door, and there'll be a sign on it. I think I'm going to make a neon sign or something.
Yeah. And they're
Promises.
labeled. You'll see like Journal of International
And
Law,
it'll have the
law.
number too, the room number, but that's where it is. Second floor of the library, there'll be a big sign that says Minnesota Law Review Office, and the door will be open, and there'll be someone smiling, waiting to give you guys your petition. It'll be so exciting.
What?
No, but it'll be easy. Just second floor of the library. If you get confused, if you're lost, you don't know what's going on, ask anybody. Most people know where the journal offices are. Reference desk for sure knows. So if you get lost in the library, just ask somebody.
Remember that during the summer, the library is not always going to be open, so I'll have your U-card to go to pick it up and turn it in, because it might be locked.
You
need it.
You also need your new card to pick up.
Don't bring it.
Any other questions before Julia talks about tricks of the trade? Okay.
Okay, so we just had our grading meeting today.
above, 10 pages below is very strictly enforced. So use them as often as possible. And then the end notes should be substantive. So, you're on that. So that means like you shouldn't just use id every time. I know that the case comment that we showed you, there was like a whole page of straight ids, which sometimes is okay, but one of the things you're getting graded on is the use of all the sources. So if you're trying to use the sources, a page of ids is probably not as
Effective.
yeah, an effective way to do that. And also that means that you can write text below the line. So like Mary said earlier, for an example of something else, you could also see this. So you can write below the line. You don't just have to put the citations. But make sure you do that according to Blue Book rules. And there are good examples of those in the Blue Book. And there's also some on the example case comments, but like they said before, make sure that those are right. But yeah, make sure that you use substantive footnotes. And there are lots of examples in this packet that I'm not going to read.
One of the best ways to do that is to do contra. So it's a way
compare with.
or compare with. So like instead of just having an ID, you could say compare this source with this source. It literally takes up no more line space, and you just throw it in. And if it doesn't support your analysis, good.
A way to win easy points on that is Blue Book 1.2, use all those signals. Like make it a personal goal to use all those signals. And every time you eat an M&M and pat yourself on the back because you're killing the petition. Like just, you gotta give little treats.
So the next tip is use most of the sources in the packet. I went in with the mindset to use all the sources in the packet, and I did. So you can do it. It's possible. They didn't. They both got law review as well. So clearly you don't have to use all the sources, but I don't know how many you guys used, but it was a decent amount.
I don't know.
So use as many as possible. If you can, use them all. It will also show off your great Blue Booking skills because some of the sources are especially tricky.
Yeah.
Along that line, make sure you cite those tricky sources. If you choose not to use 10 sources and they're all the really tricky ones, that won't go unnoticed. So make sure if sources are particularly hard to cite, you do your best. If you're going to bomb the citation, maybe don't use it, but if you're able to, I don't think that it would be a bad idea.
There are some sources that don't have a correct, like one correct citation to do, or there's not just one rule that applies to them. We purposely went out and found things that are a little ambiguous because we want to see why you guys do it.
Because as a staffer, you run into many things.
Yeah.
Like this is not a what is this?
Yeah. So it's a good practice. Yeah. And you'll get points for it. Next thing, like they were saying before, don't be afraid to cite authorities contrary to your position. There are things on all sides of this issue in the petition packet. So if you can't think of a way to cite that Fox News article, just put a contra and then put that in there. I don't think we have one of those. But yeah, you can use those. And then use a variety of Blue Booking signals. Like Kristen said, I used all of them, and I hope that got me points. But those don't go unnoticed as well. It's really easy to do a C or a but C, but contra means almost the same thing as but C. So look at those differences, understand those differences, and use all the signals.
This is not good.
We don't necessarily agree with this,
I don't agree with this, but
but it's always been used, skating by the Blue Book.
if you're running low on time,
That's the main thing that I would use this for. Is if you're like a week and a half in, you're like, oh,
I haven't started my Blue Booking.
I don't have time to get through this, that's when I would do this. But if you have time and you balance your time out well, I would do my best to get the Blue Booking perfect.
Yeah. So like do like the first round. If you don't have time to go through and make sure, then I guess that's okay. Like this would be the thing to do that on. But after our meeting today with the graders, I definitely wouldn't say avoid this by any means.
some notes.
So rule 2 is type-based conventions. We talked about this a lot in the Blue Book and breakout sessions. It's very important. Do not italicize case names unless it's a short cite. So you will italicize it if it's been cited within 5 footnotes or endnotes. That's a rule. It's a short cite rule. So keep in your mind, you will not italicize case names unless you're short citing it.
Or it's in the above the line text.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay, so there's a difference between above the line and below the line text. So you want to go to the top page of the footnote. Okay, so this is above the line. So see how this is in their like substantive part of their case comment? They would italicize it because it's in the text. This is like a rule in the Blue Book. If you scroll all the way down to footnotes, you do not italicize footnotes or endnotes. You do not italicize case names. It's a rule in the Blue Book.
Unless it's a short cite. And then you will, if this were to be short-cited, I don't think it is, so you would just be like Anderson, italicized, and then you would go on. I'm not going to teach you what the short cite is, but it's in your Blue Book. Does that make sense?
So when you hear above the line, that means the actual text, and below the line means the Blue Book name.
So on page 20 it says, do not italicize the case name in the endnotes unless it is a short cite or grammatically part of the sentence. Blue Book 2.1a and 2.2b1, Romanet 1. Do, however, italicize case names above the line. Does that make sense? Easy ones.
There's examples of those. And then it also goes on to talk about large and small caps. Those are important because we do use them often in Blue Book citations. You will not use them above the line. Alan and Christina will show you how to do this on your computer, like a shortcut or something like that, but I don't know how to do those things, and I do it the long way and survive. So if you can't figure that out, I know. If you can't figure out, it's in your packet and they're going to show you, but it's fine.
It makes your life hard way too.
Yeah. Format, font, large and small font. But it's fine. Those are important that you use those right. Don't just type out in caps. It's not the same thing. It does not look the same.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to spot it.
Because the authors pull that stuff.
They
All
pull
the
it
time.
all the time. We're like, thank you, now I get to write it.
Yeah. Any questions about what large and small caps are?
I've highlighted on here so you understand what I mean.
Okay. Those are important. Okay, this top of page 22 is talking about the oddity, the source that isn't quite in the Blue Book. There are some of those. So be prepared to do some creative thinking. And like Kristen and Mary said before, there are multiple ways to cite these sources, and your efforts will be rewarded if you do what you're supposed to do. But yeah, that's there. And then, I'm not doing that one. Id, okay. Id is like used a lot, but you can never use id if the source has more than one, or the footnote has more than one source in it. So if I cited 3 cases, and then the next the next endnote I wanted to cite the last case in the footnote above, you can't do that. You can only use id if the preceding endnote has one source in it. I keep interchanging footnotes and endnotes, but for your purposes. Yeah, so if you go to the case comment example, there's a whole page of it. Just find that. Probably for the analysis section, so it's probably down.
Here.
Okay.
13?
I'm getting dizzy looking at this. Milwaukee top.
It's towards, I know there are a bunch towards the bottom. If there's not many kids up at the top.
Stop. Okay.
Here's one.
So this is one, this looks like a source, and then they did id, and you go to the id rule, it'll tell you that if the page number differs, so they cited pages 3 through 4 here, but they want to cite 15 for endnote 48, they did id at 15.
And then in endnote 44, you couldn't use an id in 45 because there are multiple full sources there. 1, 7, yeah, even though it would be shorter. It's not a lot. Okay. Internal cross-references. So they'll teach you how to do cross-references for supras and short sites. However, you're not allowed in the petition. I just want to make sure I get this right. Live cross. Wait.
You can't cite to your own, like you
Yeah.
can't cite to yourself.
You can't say, you can't say
See
like,
infra.
See infra part 2.
Yeah.
That sounds absurd.
And if you're like, I don't know what they're talking about, good, don't learn it, because you cannot do it for the petition.
So
that's fine.
on page 22, internal cross-references are banned.
Just
Live
don't do it.
cross-references, on the other hand, are required to keep your sanities. So a cross-reference means, so supra means I'm going to talk about this, or I've already talked about this, and you supra to a source that you cited earlier. So what this means is you can't supra to something that you said earlier, but you could supra to a source that was cited earlier. Does that
So-
make yourself?
You can't cite yourself, yeah. And they talk about that in the short sites rule 4.
4.2.
Yeah.
So like I just highlighted that to Supra, they're saying there's an earlier note, note 8, that already gives the full site, so I'm gonna cite to it.
Right, so you couldn't say supra part 2, referring to your own
What
writing.
you've written in part 2.
Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? It can be confusing.
You will lose points for that, so it's like really,
When I did the petition, I did not understand what supra and infra meant at all because I'm not an English major. I never wrote a paper in my life, really. So I learned this like while petitioning with my blue book. So if you're totally confused right now, it'll make sense when you read the rule and you start writing.
So are you including like C note 8 as a self-cross-reference, or is that, will that be appropriate?
as long as in note 8 you're citing a source, and in your endnote you're referring to the source you cited in note 8.
What's the difference in between supra and id?
Good question, Rachel.
So,
I was like, do you want to take this one?
I can try. Supra refers to a source used, not the source before. You can only use id if it's the immediately preceding source. And you can't supra to all source types. There's a list of which source types you cannot supra to, and that includes cases and statutes, some other important stuff.
On
But
page
those two
23,
we use frequently.
it's a bolded like little tip. You cannot supra a case or a statute. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So like this would be okay, but if I did then, there's a bunch of other sources, and then I did Supra, Eric and Julia, that would not be okay, because it's a case.
But that's the difference. Does that make sense?
That's also not very good moving, so
Don't talk.
the ID is not italicized.
Any other questions about internal cross references? All right.
I think this is an easy one. So remember to spell out United States when it is the entire name of a party name. So I know that one year when I took notes, I would do USB Johnson or whatever. Don't do that. Spell out United States. And that's Blue Book 10.2.2.
Yes. Oh, and the last thing I think I'll say before we move to the next section is place your quotation marks and your endnotes in the correct place in the sentence. So on page 23, they show you a couple examples with the name Katie. As a staffer and an editor, that you can like foresee which is wrong, but when you're reading petitions, they're often in the wrong place and it just looks really weird. So just make sure that your punctuation is where it's supposed to be next to the other punctuation. Okay, I think that's all I have. Are there any questions about anything that we just included?
A little
one after a semicolon, but before a colon.
Yeah.
And
These are all
I
done
looked up
correctly.
that.
Because, yeah, we need to say.
There's different ways to do it, but yes.
Right.
So if you go to Blue Book 1.1, that's the rule for that. If you forget it.
Yeah.
Is there a blue book rule for the second last thing, the quotation
1.1.
mark?
Oh, second.
Correct placement of quotation marks.
Quotation marks are
Rule 5.
Rule 5.
But just general rule of quotation marks, any punctuation goes inside the quotation mark.
Commas and periods go inside, everything else goes outside.
So as you see, the one above with that, yep. So,
And that's, if you read Rule 5, I think if anyone had legal writing with me, they know it was like my biggest pet peeve, and I would constantly like do really good for this.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's also big on the Blue Book exercise. Fun fact. Any other questions?
Okay, so there are other, we're gonna move on to like the substantive, get your hands dirty part in just a sec. But there is a lot more in here we didn't cover because it gets boring listening to us talk, we know that. So I just want to draw your attention really quickly to page 24, writing a case comment. This has a lot of just little helpful, kind of more fluffy things to help guide you while you're actually deciding what you want to say. So I remember I got my packet and I was like, everything about this topic has already been said. Like I almost got like angry. I was like, I can't believe they didn't give us like anything to work with. Well, no, I was just thinking too much about it. It does not need to be like the Da Vinci of writing. It's not like you're going to publish this. It's just to get on journal. So just refer to this page and do your best with what's given.
And I know that our topics were very different.
Yes.
What we wrote about, like I think both of you might have.
Yeah, so I
Same.
took a more narrow approach because I like statutory law, so I decided I was going to pick out all the tiny little things that were wrong with the case, and just like this tiny little way they applied with this one tiny little administrative rule was incorrect. So I did very different.
I did more like this case was wrong because it's racist. That was what I wrote.
I don't know.
Yeah, so, and it worked.
See, I took a more like broad constitutional approach where I was like, well, this case specifically is irrelevant. I think that you can use it to interpret the Constitution in a very racially focused manner, which is wrong.
So based on this, you don't need to be the Mozart of writing. Based on my example, you really don't. You just have to do it well.
So there is no right answer, and that's one of the reasons we say so many times, do not talk to anyone, because if I had heard what they were doing, I would have panicked and been like, what I'm doing is wrong, and we all got into the same, our journal of choice, so.
But it's also important to make your comment interesting and fun to read and
For yourself,
make sense
and
and
your
let everything
understanding.
flow. And also for the graders, because they're reading a few of these, and if yours is really dry, you won't get those extra points for having an interesting note. So while it's not super important that you have a really novel idea, it's important that it's quality writing that's completed by
Question.
Who's doing the grading?
All of the, not all, but quite a few of the now 2L staffers, but will be 3L editors from all 5 journals. So if you haven't heard this before, your petition will be read 5 times. So it will be read by all of the journals except for ABA Labor and Employment, because they don't have very many staffers. So Minnesota Law Review reads their portion. And then whatever journal you rank first gets to read it an additional time. So if I put Law Review first, Law Review would read it twice, and then the other journals would read it. Does that make sense? So we then take those scores, we drop the lowest score you got and the highest score you got, and then we average it. And then and that's your case comment score. And then every editor-in-chief of each journal gets that, and then they put you on a list of where they want you. And then there's a big magical numbers process where your ranking and their ranking are combined, and then you get onto the journal that you ranked highest and if they wanted you. So if you ranked ABA highest but they didn't want you, you wouldn't get them. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Is the ranking done by the editor on a strict scoring basis, or is
it
it?
depends on the journal. But every journal, as we've given you in the journal packet, accepts staffers based on different criteria. Some of them strictly go by the petition. Some of them put a lot of emphasis on your personal statement. Some of them you can get on with grades. So different positions, and we just invite you to go onto the Minnesota Law Review website and look at that packet. So it is not, if you don't do especially well on the petition, it doesn't mean you might not get a journal offer, because you might have gotten like an offer because you had an amazing personal statement.
So if I'm looking at this and I'm really interested in how this works, I went to the Minnesota Law Review website and pulled up this lovely packet, and it told me, oh, ABA, all of their positions, this is how they grade them. Oh, I'm really interested in law and inequality, this is how they grade them. You can go through and it says, and then there's like little caveats at certain points for some journals.
So for the 2Ls and maybe transfer students in the room, you have in particularly more maybe restrictions. So there are some journals, for instance, who won't be accepting 3Ls just because of whatever their internal politics are. So do take a look at those so you guys know where you stand.
But we've done a lot of work to make sure that this is as fair and anonymous as possible.
Yep.
To the point of like locking down stuff, and like we actually don't even see most of the things. It goes through Ken, who's the journal administrator.
So we'll never know what number you were.
We don't know who it is, what was going on, and only the EICs know that, so don't worry.
And not until the very end, like after all the grading is done.
Yeah.
Yep. And the EICs will never know your grades. That's done entirely by an administrator. So if you opt to be one of the, like, you can say, like, I would like my grades considered, or you can be like, no, I'm not even going to try to go for the positions that have grades considered.
Which I don't really know why you would.
I don't know why you wouldn't either, because
It's
why?
just administration that sees
Yeah,
that.
you don't know who else is petitioning. There might, you never know. So don't discount yourself. And yeah, otherwise we're going to break up. Yeah.
Sorry, just to go back to the petition marks. So I see all of yours are straight, but for me, Word autocorrects it to the bendy ones. Is that important?
I think that might just be.
That might just be the font.
The font.
I think that might just be the font.
It isn't just font, but you will not pay any deduction for using
No.
early or.
Just make sure it's time consuming 12 points.
That is consistent, either they're all early or they're all straight.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know the
You had a
difference.
question? Yeah.
I just have a question about honors violation.
Yeah.
The violation belongs to anyone. Is that like in general?
No.
Or is it just about the kids?
It's so just to clarify, in terms of the honor code, I can't, if I was a petitioner and Mary was a petitioner, I couldn't go up to her and be like, oh my gosh, source number 75 is awful, and have a conversation about that. That's not okay, and we will find out about it.
Trust me.
We will.
find out about it.
But if I was like, hey Mary, do you want to go for a run later this afternoon and not talk about journals?
And I'll say, I can't wait to not talk
Like,
about journalism.
You're only hurting yourself, and you're actually hurting that other person because they have to report you.
Yeah. And if they don't report you, that's not a good situation.
So just don't talk about it with anyone. Live in a bubble for a while and hang out with your non-law just to prevent it from happening.
We should add, it is not an honor code violation to email MN petition questions at Gmail, which is, it's literally, you're going to get a response from one of us three.
And if we can't answer the question, we'll just tell you, sorry, we can't answer that, refer your direction.
Yeah, so don't ask us like, how would I cite this? But if you have a logistical problem, then you can contact us.
I actually did study, sorry.
But
I did my petition in the physical presence of another law student, but in his room. I sat right there, and she sat over there. And
far.
that way I could go to the washroom or like get a drink of water or walk outside and not have to pack up all my stuff. But we didn't talk about anything because somehow everybody finds out everything. So,
I was just going to ask with emailing, how careful do we have to be about that breaking the like anonymity requirement?
So don't worry about it.
Okay.
Just send it from your email account. If you have your signature block on, on auto, try to remember to delete it, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world. Because we don't see that stuff when it comes in. Kent sees
Yeah.
that.
So when you ask a question, you're gonna ask it to MN petition questions. Don't put, hi, I'm petitioner number 005.
Yeah,
Kind of
don't do that.
Very specific question. When you submit your petition, it does not go to that email. It will go to several separate emails that will be given to you. That all goes to Kent, the administrator.
So this is MN petition questions. That's for during the petition period. If you're confused and you're like, oh, logistically I have this problem, that's where you email. But in your packet, when you submit all your stuff at the end, it's MN petition submissions. So don't get those two confused. Don't. And if you submit your packet to questions, you'll get an email back that might be a little snarky. That's like, you didn't submit this correctly. You need to agree to direction.
Yeah, because we won't count it as submission. So if it's passed before 30 sign-in, that.
So sorry, I meant like if we're asking a specific question that we're worried about, you guys like, you know.
No, as long as if you don't put
It's
like,
fine.
I petition, because you guys pick your petition up and you're assigned, I was 13, which I was like, no, it's so unlucky. 013, so as long as you don't put in your,
Don't tell us your
Subject
number. You can be
line.
like, that's Macy. It's not.
Kristen, May, and I are answering those emails, and we grade personal statements.
We don't touch
We
it.
don't grade the case comments.
Yeah.
So get as specific with us as you'd like, but we probably won't answer it. But, yeah, because if it's too specific, we can't. But,
questions are more like, hey, I only, for some whatever reason, my packet was missing like 5 sources. Or hey, I realized that, it's not things like, how do I sign this? Because that's on,
I got number one.
I got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Easy.
I mean, the electronic packet, is it like one whole document with all of them, or is it?
One big PDF.
Yep, so you will get a hard copy, and then you will get a link to a protected Google Drive that you will have to manually input. It is a protected Google Drive, meaning if you share it, you will likely get an honor code violation. So it used to be we gave you a CD, but many people don't have CD drives anymore. And we decided, wait a minute, it's 2016. We're just going to give you a link. And then you are able to, if you accidentally lose yours, which I hope you wouldn't, you could print another copy.
But you can't share that.
Yeah, but if you share it, like, you got to go talk to Aaron Keys.
Or Kylie, you can't share the link. Okay.
Does anyone else have any other questions? It'll be okay. You'll be fine. Everyone looks really freaked out right now.
I know, sorry, we try to scare you because we love you.
Okay,
Here,
so
here.
if you guys want to learn how to set up your document and your template, Alan works really, really hard to prepare a little handout. Math people are going to stay in this room. PC people are going to go to room 50. Christina's in there waiting for you guys. Feel free to leave if you think you're too close to this session, that's fine. If you're going to stay here for math, that's what you need. I'll hand them
Yeah.
So as Kristen said, my name is Alan Barr, and I'm going to be walking you through how to set up a Word document so that when you get your petition and go to write it, everything will already be formatted exactly how you need to see, so you don't have to worry about any of that while you're writing the petition. All the instructions are based on the actual petition instructions from last year. It's my understanding that they have not changed at all, so if you follow these, you will be good to go. If you don't want to listen to me talk, you can also just read these at your own time, but I'm going to be going through them now, and I would encourage you to follow along with me. So to start out, create a new Word document. And if you have any questions at any time, raise your hand, and I will slow down. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I'm sitting in it.
Okay. Once you have your Word document up, you're going to go ahead and save it as a petition draft just right off the bat, so it's good to go. I was going to keep it a little slow. I'm 7 years old, so bear with me as I work through these things. Okay, so I'm going to save it as petition draft 1. And now we've got our document. Now we're going to go through and work on various formatting. So to begin with the formatting for the font, once it loads. Yeah. Okay, so select all the text in the document and change it to Times New Roman. And then you want to make sure that all of the paragraphs are set to 0 spacing before and 0 spacing after them so that there aren't any additional spaces after each paragraph. Also, change the line spacing to double. And then you can close out that.
If you guys need more time while he's going through this, just raise your hand.
Yeah. I'm happy to slow down. Just let me know if you don't hear this. For the document, it should already be set 1-inch margins on everything. Go through and make sure that all of those say 1 inch and not 1.25, because I know at least in some versions of Word, the left and right margins are set to 1.25 at the beginning. Okay. Now we're going to add your petition number and a page number to it. In the View menu, select Header and Footer. In the header, select All, and type in, begin with type in pound, pound, pound. You're going to replace that with your petition number once you get it.
So if I was petition number 001, right when I got my petition, I would put it.
Obviously, you don't know what your number is now. By having those pound symbols there, it'll help remind you that you need to change that so you don't lose points for not having your number on the petition. Select all the text. Go to the Home section. Change it to Times New Roman. And align it to the right instead of the left. Close out header. And go to Insert again and select page numbers.
We're on number 7. If you're
You want them on the bottom, and you want to change them to be in the center instead of the right of the page. Once you have that, leave everything else as it is, and click OK. Double click on that one, select it, change the Times New Roman. Close it.
question.
You show number on the first page?
Sorry, what was that?
Number on the first page?
Number on the first page, yes. Numbers go on every page.
Can you do that last step one more time? I'm sorry, I was.
Sure. So you've got your number here, petition number at the top, right?
Yep.
So after you do that, you're going to go to Insert, Page Numbers. You're going to change it to bottom of the page, alignment center, click OK. And then you're going to double click on page number, select the entire footer, and change the font from Calibri to Times New Roman. And then you can close the footer.
Did you have a question?
What, can you do the market thing again?
Sure. So if you go to the Format menu and go to Document, it should list all the margin sizes, and they should all be 1 inch. Yeah.
Is everyone following along good? Okay.
Good. Cool. Okay, so now you've got sort of the box around your case comment good to go. So now we're going to format the footnotes themselves. So let's. So type any text at all into the top of it. Trying to remember that. Actually, no. Okay, so once you've got some text at the top, doesn't matter what it is, then you want to go to the Insert menu and select Footnote. I know we're working with endnotes, but the Insert menu for some reason only has footnote, but it will give you the option to add endnotes once your text comes up.
Is it on like the references tab for that original word?
It might be under the references tab. There is still an insert footnote option in the insert menu in older versions of Word.
Okay.
Yeah, more than that. I'm getting a new laptop in July, so if anyone wants to donate to that, that'd be great. Okay.
I'm not following along. If we select EndNote.
Yes, you're going to change it to EndNote instead of footnote. Yes, change it from EndNote to footnote.
We're on number 8. You wanna, so while I'm doing that, you're gonna change footnote to EndNote in options and select 1, 2, 3 for the format number or number format. This is really important because I think the autocorrect on some people's is Romanettes, and that's wrong, and you will get a huge deduction for that. So again, pick EndNote, hit options, and select 1, 2, 3 for the number format. Make sure the rest of the options say start at 1 and continuous. Click apply and OK.
Is it an end of document?
Yeah.
Next, you're going to hit Command Option E and insert an EndNote at the end of that substantive text above the line that you wrote. You can also, so when I do EndNotes, I usually just right-click via the Insert menu and click Add EndNote.
Yeah, that's.
Why is it still doing on the same page?
So you only have one page of text right now.
Okay.
As you add text, it will keep going.
So what should happen is there should be a little line that separates your above and below the line, and as you write more, that line will move down, and then you'll be able to check. Yeah.
What did you say before adding, your other way of adding a EndNote?
So it's on number 8 here. You can hit Command Option E to insert an EndNote when you're writing your case comment after each substantive sentence you write above the line. Or, Alan has here in the brackets, you can manually insert an EndNote via the Insert menu. So you can go click on Insert EndNote and then do it that way. in this direction, it says add filler text to the end note, so just type something in there so that it keeps the end note.
Yeah. Yeah, you have.
Oh, okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? I know this seems like very basic, but people mess this stuff up every year, and every year it bites people in the butt, so.
So insert, footnote.
Yep. And
See if it works this time.
I can always
Otherwise,
close
yeah,
it.
I'll take your laptop here if you don't mind.
Sorry, guys.
This will work.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry
so-
for that side note.
End notes.
So this is what you should have done while we were messing around up here.
And then want to keep it continuous, full document, and click apply. And then now you can do Command Option E, Command Option E, and you get an end note. And
Does everyone have that? Okay.
okay, so you got your first end note there. Now what we're going to do is make sure that all the end notes are formatted correctly. If you look at this end note, it is Cambria, not Times New Roman.
So we're on number 9 of the packet.
So select all the text below the line, and then we're going to go to the Styles panel over here. And this will be slightly different for new versions of Word. Actually, I'm going to switch that. Okay, so we're in here, you've got your first end note. Now we're going to change them to make sure that the format is correct. Select the entire end note, and in the format menu, go down to Style. You want to change the end note text so that it isn't Cambria single space. Instead, click Modify. Change the font to Times New Roman. And change the spacing to double spacing. Click OK.
Which one's double spacing?
Sure. It's, yes, biggest. So you've got 3 options here. Single space, 1.5, double. Hit OK. Click Apply.
Is everyone with us? Yes.
Wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're on number 9.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
No spacing.
Is everyone with us now? Okay. So Alan just did number 9 on the back here.
And the text here,
Five.
Times New Roman, space, K, apply, now it's that book. And now, if you add more text, and then add another endnote, that's the correct formatting.
Is everyone there?
Good? Everyone have their footnotes, endnotes formatted correctly?
I think we're good.
Okay. Now your petition is set up and good to go. You can write your case comment up top, add endnotes down below. Now I'm going to talk about a few shortcuts that are good to know for Word as you are typing your case comment. So first of all, small caps. So things like books, journal articles are all going to use small caps. So if you have a journal source, for example,
This is that large and small cap that we were talking about earlier. So that's what you'll use for books, journals.
so
So Alan's getting publishing law reviews, so he's writing the title of his comment, and then law review.
So right now, we've got this form, this is properly blue booked, aside from
That's
the,
forthcoming.
yeah, that's still forthcoming. And then also, the Minnesota Law Review. To make that small cap, you have two options. You can do the long way that I think Julia was saying she did, which is go to Format, Font, and then select small caps. And click OK.
But that's okay.
That's it, exactly. Or what you can do is do
Command Shift K.
Command Shift K. And highlight it.
We're on
Top of 3.
part 3, section A, shortcut keys. You need to know the top of page 3.
If you do Command Shift K, it will switch back and forth between doing small caps and non-small caps. Second is spaces. So say that you are quoting a source, and then, or doing anything with spaces, and you have an ellipsis that is going to span, that because of where it's placed, splits up on the line, doesn't look good. So rather than doing regular spaces between things like that, what you do is option space, and now those spaces will not break the line, and it will move it to the next line to keep it from having one period on the upper line, one period on the lower line.
So on page 3, this is important for section symbols or paragraph symbols, numbers, and periods and ellipses. So I would highlight that. That's important. You don't want to break that stuff up.
So you do a period, option space, period,
Yep.
option
Yeah,
space.
so period, hold down option, press space, period, hold down option, press space, and then you'll have non-line breaking spaces. I am going to talk about autocorrecting periods. So, but two other keyboard shortcut things while I'm talking about them. There are times when you'll be setting sections. Rather than having to look up the section symbol every time in the symbol selector, what you can just do is option 6, and it will give you the section symbol. That will save you lots of time from having to find that in wherever the symbol selector is each time you need one. Finally, hyphens, dashes, hyphens, and dashes, and M dashes.
This is really important. Pay attention to this.
Do you want to talk about the various kinds of things first, and then I can talk about how to type them?
There will be a little dashes, special little sheet in your instructions when you get it. There's a difference between hyphens, N dashes, EN, and M dashes, EM. And you'll find that in the Blue Book. They have different rules and all that stuff. So you use hyphens for statutes, and that's what a hyphen is, the top one. You're going to use N dashes for things like page ranges, and this will be in that, it'll be like a little like tutorial, quick and dirty version of this, but just so you get it flowing around. N dash is the second option, and then the third option is an M dash, and that's for when you want, when you're inserting something in a sentence, you want to add emphasis onto that, so something that you could break up with commas, you could also use M dashes. So that's the difference. If you're really confused and don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. There'll be a little tutorial in your directions, but just so you can start the difference now, Alan will teach you how to do all of those.
So this is basically hyphen, just hit the hyphen key, the one next to the 0. For a N dash, you hold down Option and press the hyphen key. And for a M dash, you hold down Option and Shift and press the hyphen key. And those will give you the various types of dashes. Any questions about keyboard shortcuts?
Where are those directions in our packet?
Those are...
Yeah, the bottom of page 3 will tell you everything you need to know. And it'll start, page 4 is part of that tutorial I was talking about.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay.
Last part on sort of tweaking Word, and then I'll talk about cross-references. First, we're going to make some tweaks towards autocorrect to make it less annoying for all your legal writing. Some of you might have done this already as part of legal writing class, but if you haven't, you should. So go into the Tools menu and select autocorrect. And then you want to type into the replace field 3 periods, and that will bring up the ellipsis autocorrect.
This is so important. I use this all the time. Sorry.
What page are we on?
We are on the top of page 3, easy autocorrect fixes.
Do you mind to tell me how to get there again?
Yeah. You're going to go to Tools, Autocorrect, and open up that. In the replace field, we're going to replace a few things, starting with the ellipsis. Type in 3 dots.
Ellipsis is just 3 dots,
Yeah.
if you didn't know what that meant.
And then select that one. And get rid of the current Word default one, which is 3 dots put together as one character in Word. You're going to select that and delete it. And then replace it with dot, space, dot, space, dot. Click Add. We're going to do the same thing for the copyright symbol and the trademark registration symbol. Do a search for C. Just delete that one, won't replace it with anything. And do a search for R. Delete that one as well, so that when you're working with statutes that have, say, a subsection part C, you don't have to fix those every time and autocorrect them to what it should be autocorrecting to.
Can you go over like this delete thing again? Because I'm not, like, there's like some select thing I don't understand.
Sure. So in the replace field, type in open parenthesis, C, close parenthesis.
Yep.
And it should pull up down below the autocorrect option to replace C with a copyright symbol.
Yeah.
Click on that down there in the selection area, and click on delete.
Delete. Cool.
And then it will no longer autocorrect C to the copyright symbol.
Okay, just like populating these fields or whatever. I think I'm confused.
anyone has any
Like
one-on-one
specifics
questions, I
of-
can talk to people after.
This changes for all future Word documents, or this is one?
For all future Word documents. So if you don't want this change, don't do it. But
But I would recommend doing
yeah,
it.
like if you're going to be on a journal next year, you're going to be doing this a lot, and number of times you need a copyright symbol versus number of times you need not a copyright symbol. It's better to not have it on it.
Should we uncheck the capitalized first letter? of the
Yes.
sentence?
Sure. Sorry, which one?
That one, right, the capitalized first letter of sentences?
Um,
Or I mean, is that?
if it is checked, I think that was just my personal preference.
I have mine checked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just turned it off because of some other stuff that I do. Like you leave that checked.
Is it dot space, dot space, dot space?
It is dot space, dot space. There should be 3 dots total.
Okay, no space after that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because depending on the situation, you might not have the third space. Okay. Now go over to auto format as you type. You want to uncheck these 2 options. Internet and network paths with hyperlinks. That will stop it from making any URL blue and underlined every time you type one. And you want to uncheck ordinals first with superscript because, as we all know, the Blue Book does not use superscripted ordinals.
This is page 3 of your packet, too, if you are lost. It's under part B.
There's the straight quotation marks.
Yeah.
It's
So
there too.
for that, it doesn't matter. You can leave them straight or curly. The curly look better, in my opinion.
Do you have any questions about this stuff? No, it's like pulling teeth, but
Yeah. This is all basic stuff you can just do if you follow the instructions, but I want to go through it so everyone is on the same page.
if you're like me and don't know how to work a computer, this is really helpful.
So from the main autocorrect section, go over on the top to auto format as you type. Click on that one. And then there are the 2 options to uncheck internet network paths with hyperlinks and ordinals with superscript.
You guys have any questions? We'll keep going. Okay.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, okay, now we're going to close out of that and go into the Word menu and select Preferences, Spelling and Grammar, and uncheck Ignore Words in Uppercase, because you want it to spell check things even if they are in all uppercase letters, like your titles, your subtitles, and headings. After you've done that, you close out the Preferences. Any questions about that? I know this is very tedious, it is almost over.
this is very helpful though when you guys start your petition, because you won't be wasting time screwing around with the internet and your document.
What does option 7 do? Is that just a paragraph symbol?
Yeah, that's just paragraph symbol.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about is cross-references.
So we're on page 4, advanced tech savvy. You guys are going to do your thing.
So, as you write your petition, you are going to be referring to sources multiple times, including sources that should be supra, that is to say, pointing to a previous citation. So let's say I'm typing some more text about employment discrimination, and then I've got actionable one there, Title 7.
Totally misspelled. That's okay.
Grade A case comment right now. Okay, and now I want to cite the Guardians of the Galaxy work again. So I'm going to insert another endnote. But the Blue Book dictates that you don't cite it in full again, you supra-cite it. So what I'm going to do is C bar, supra, note, and now here's where the cross-references come in. These you could go through and type these out by hand. Don't do that.
I
Because it
did
will
it in my
add.
entire note.
How much time did that to your note?
A lot.
Yeah. There is a much easier way, and that is to say insert cross-reference to an endnote and then you select the endnote you want, which is the first one. Because Word is silly, but they're silly. And then you hit insert and close. And now there is a cross-reference to that first endnote.
So it means like they're active cross-references, so when someone's looking at your document, if they scroll over, if Alan scrolled over that one and clicked on it, it would take him to endnote one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everybody?
That, yes, and I will show you why now. So right now, you're right, you could just go through and type them all by hand. But let's say that you have a really great idea for something to put before this sentence that is really insightful, but needs a cite. And so you insert another endnote with some text. But now, this one isn't correct. Normally, if you did them all individually, you'd have to go through by hand at the end and make sure they're all correct.
And that really stinks, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah. What you can do instead is if I do a print preview, then it'll load for a while. You don't. So just do Command P to go like you're going to print.
Or you can do file print.
And then just cancel out of it. And now it's updated it to the new footnote number. And so you don't have to keep track of all of your footnote numbers. It will do it automatically. When you do a print review, or actually either way. But it won't update automatically, but if you do that, that will.
You have to update it. Do you guys have any questions? Can you do
Sure.
Okay, Alan's going to do cross-reference again just for fun. What number is it?
So we've got some more text. So I've got some words here, and I want a citation. I'm going to insert an endnote. Insert. And then see, let's say that there's a source called Bambauer, note 3. So see Bambauer, supra note, insert, cross-reference, select note 3, click insert, click close, and now you have a cross-reference to note 3. Any other questions about that?
Yeah, will it always pop up like the little Roman numerals kind? You just ignore it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it depends on your version and how.
But as long as like the correct Roman numeral citation pops up, if that works, then
Yeah.
okay.
I think Word 2016 is just a little buggy in regards to how it handles the notes, and that's one of them.
Just make sure that the endnotes are in numerals on your actual.
That's okay.
Okay. Any other questions about cross-references, live cross-references? Okay. Is that it? Do you guys have any other questions about this, like the formatting stuff, the computer? That's what Alan's here for, or in general? Okay, well, if you do have questions, feel free to come and talk to us afterwards. Thank you guys for coming. Good luck on finals. Deep breaths. If you do have other questions with the student girls, please email MF with your questions. I would highly recommend going to the WILSA session on Friday. There's going to be some food, and we're going to have LARVU and other members of the journals, specialty journals who are members of WILSA come in and actually do booking. So if you have some time and you want to just come for a little bit,